The night was cold. A deep chill had settled over the city of Bhopal. In the shanty towns surrounding the Union Carbide factory, families huddled together for warmth. They slept soundly, wrapped in thin blankets. They dreamed simple dreams of the next day. A day of work, a day of school, a day of life. The air was still. The moon cast a pale, gentle light over the narrow sleeping lanes. No one knew that a monster was stirring nearby. A monster made of gas, silent and invisible. It was waiting to be unleashed, ready to creep into their homes, into their lungs, into their very souls. Suddenly, a strange sound broke the silence. A high-pitched whistle. It was not a familiar sound. It was a warning. But who could understand its meaning? Then came the smell, a sharp, burning sensation. It was like 1,000 chilies roasting at once. It clawed at the throat. It stung the eyes. A white cloud began to drift from the tall structures of the factory. It was not smoke from a simple fire. It was a serpent of poison. It slithered low to the ground, heavy and deadly. It seeped through the cracks in the doors and windows of the flimsy huts. It filled the air, thick and suffocating. The sleeping city was being gassed like an insect nest. Children started to scream, their small bodies convulsing. Inside the Union Carbide pesticide plant, the heart of the machine had failed. The factory was built to produce a chemical called 7. The process involved a highly toxic substance, methyl isocyanate, or MIC. This gas was stored in huge, refrigerated underground tanks. Tank E610 was the one that held the poison that night. It was supposed to be kept cool. It was supposed to be kept stable. A series of safety systems were designed to prevent any disaster. A cooling system, a vent gas scrubber to neutralize any leaks, a flare tower to burn off any escaping gas. These were the guardians of the city, but the guardians were asleep. For months, maybe years, the factory had been neglected. The pursuit of profit had overshadowed the need for safety. The company had made cutbacks. Staff was reduced. Training was poor. Vital instruments were broken and not repaired. The refrigeration unit had been shut down for months to save electricity. The vent gas scrubber was out of service. The flare tower was disconnected. The guardians were not just asleep. They had been dismantled. On that fateful night, a routine maintenance operation went horribly wrong. A worker was instructed to wash out some pipes connected to the tank. Water was not supposed to enter the MIC tank. It was a deadly combination, but the safety valves failed. Water poured into tank E610. It mixed with the 42 tons of methyl isocyanate. A chemical reaction began, a runaway reaction. The pressure became too much to contain. The emergency relief valve burst open. A massive cloud of toxic gas erupted from the tank. It shot into the night sky with a terrible roar. The gas reached the people as they slept. It was a silent killer. It attacked the body with ruthless efficiency. The first sensation was a burning in the eyes. It felt like hot sand grinding against the eyeballs. Then the throat constricted. Breathing became a painful, desperate struggle for air. The lungs filled with fluid. People were drowning on dry land. The poison was inside them, dissolving their tissues, burning them from the inside out. Children were the most vulnerable. Their small lungs could not withstand the attack. They gasped for breath, their tiny chests heaving. Many died in their parents' arms, their eyes wide with terror. Families were torn apart in the chaos. A mother carrying one child would lose her grip on another in the stampeding crowd. The elderly and the sick stood no chance. They died in their beds, too weak to flee. The animals died too. Cows, goats, dogs, and birds littered the streets. The gas settled in low-lying areas, turning entire neighborhoods into gas chambers. The sweet, cloying smell of death hung in the air. It was a scene from hell, a vision of the apocalypse made real. Even those who seemed to escape were marked for life. The gas damaged their organs, attacked their immune systems, entered the food chain. It was a curse that would be passed down through generations. As the poison cloud enveloped their homes, the first instinct was to run anywhere. The narrow lanes of the shanty towns became rivers of panicked people. They poured out onto the main roads, creating a human stampede. They ran with no direction, no destination. They just ran. They ran from an enemy they could not see. The city's railway station became a focal point of the desperate flight. People thought a train could carry them to safety, to clean air, to life. The station was chaos. People pushed and shoved, climbing over each other to get onto any train. They clung to the sides of carriages. They crowded onto the roofs. But the station was a trap. The poison cloud had settled there too. Railway workers, passengers, and those seeking refuge all succumbed to the gas. Many tried to flee by any means possible. They crammed into vehicles, but the roads were gridlocked. Cars were abandoned as their occupants choked on the fumes. In their terror, they ran towards the factory, believing the danger was elsewhere. People ran until their lungs gave out. They ran until they collapsed from exhaustion and poisoning. The sun rose on the morning of December 3rd, 1984. It rose over a city that was eerily silent. The usual sounds of a bustling Indian morning were gone. An unnatural stillness had fallen over Bhopal. The streets were littered with bodies. They lay where they had fallen, frozen in their last moments. A father clutching his child. A woman reaching for a door. The city's hospitals were overwhelmed. They were not prepared for a disaster of this magnitude. They were not even sure what they were treating. Doctors worked frantically, but they had no antidote. The scale of the tragedy became clear as the morning wore on. The official death toll was in the thousands, but everyone knew the real number was much higher. The world woke up to the news of Bhopal. It was the worst industrial disaster in history, a man-made catastrophe of epic proportions. The name Union Carbide became synonymous with corporate negligence and death. The gas leak did not end on that December night. Its poison lingered, seeping deep into the earth and water. The soil remains contaminated. The groundwater is poisoned. The health effects on survivors have been devastating and lifelong. Many suffer from chronic respiratory problems, blindness, cancers, and neurological disorders. The gas left a legacy passed down to the next generation. Children born to survivors suffer from birth defects and developmental problems. Their innocent lives are testament to Union Carbide's negligence. Why did this happen? The answer is simple and shameful. It happened because profits were valued more than people. Union Carbide knew the risks. They chose to cut corners. We must remember Bhopal. We must remember the thousands who died and the hundreds of thousands who continue to suffer. To forget them would be to dishonor their memory. The legacy of Bhopal must be a promise to hold corporations accountable, a promise to prioritize safety above all else. We must remember, not just with sorrow, but with fierce determination to build a safer, more just world.